Hello, everybody, or hello again if you had already viewed the previous video on how to do the EOC moment for today. So today for our lesson, Standard Deviation Day 2, we are going to be finding the standard deviation using the TI-84 calculator. Okay, so what I would like for all of you to do is to make sure you have open this document right here. It's the same document that I provided you on Friday of last week, I believe, when we were graphing quadratic functions. And I've added to that document today about finding standard deviation using the TI-84. So for our examples today of how to follow these steps, I would like for you to go to yesterday's work, if you have it handy, and I'm going to show you how to follow these steps to find the standard deviation using the TI-84. So as you see there, the first thing that you want to do is the memory clear procedure, which is memory clear, which is the second function key, and then the plus key, and then we type 7, 1, 2. All right. So if you had already used your calculator for the previous problem, you want to get all that quadratic information out of there. Okay, so if you look back again at the document, the first step is basically the same. Is we're going to go to stat edit, and then we're going to type in our data points, but this time we're only going to use list number 1. All right, so if I bring up my calculator and stat edit, all right, so using the first example from yesterday, here are the numbers I'm going to input. So I've got 24, whoops, let me go back up, 28, 33, 50, 54, 64, 75, 84, 85, and then of course 98. All right, so now that you've entered those in, okay, so like I said, your first steps, 2 steps are the same as your stat edit, and then you enter your data points into list 1. Now we're going to do the exact same points again where we go to stat calc, but this time we're going to use the var stats function, okay? So on my calculator, I would just press the stat button again, arrow over to calc, and notice how the number 1 colon 1 variable statistics is already highlighted for you. So just press the enter key and you get that screen. Enter, enter one more time. And let's talk about what we see here, because we see lots of interesting symbols from yesterday. So the first symbol we see is the X bar, or the bar X, which tells us that our mean is 59.5. Okay, so that is what you should see on your work from yesterday, is 59.5. Then you see the next symbol. So the bar X is your mean. Okay, so then you see the next symbol, which is the uppercase sigma with X. So like I told you yesterday, the uppercase sigma means the sum of all values. So this is going to be the sum of all your data points. Okay, that is what the X value is, and basically that's what you sum up to find your mean. All right, then you'll see how you've got uppercase sigma again with X squared. So this is the sum of the squares of all the data points. Okay? And this is a statistic that you're not going to use right now in Math 1. You'll use it later on. But we do need to know how to read this calculator and understand what we're reading and realize what information we don't need to use right now. Okay, so the sum of all squares you're not going to use just yet. Now, you've got another one that has an uppercase S with an X by it. And this is what we're going to call the population standard deviation. Okay? And what a population standard deviation is, for example, and I know a lot of you out there are aware of the American political system. So when we do public opinion polling, there's over 330 million Americans in the United States of America. And when we do a public opinion poll, we sample normally 1,000 of those who determine what the 330 million think. So that is a sample population. Okay. So it is the population standard deviation of a sample. So it doesn't represent everybody in the population, it's just a sample. So that standard deviation is slightly different and has a different computation to it, which again, that's something you will learn later. Then you've got here sigma x, which is going to be your standard deviation. So for our purposes in Math 1, this is the value that you want to look at, which is standard deviation. And you'll notice that it should be the same as what you found yesterday, which is the 24.63. And of course, we rounded that to the 100th position. Okay, so then the next thing you see is it says n equals 10. Okay, so that n is the number of data points or the number in your sample. And what that basically means is it says for this example, n equals 10. So that means we entered in 10 numbers. All right. And then finally, if you were to, on this calculator, using the arrow down key, if you go down, you see it says MED equals 59. Okay, that's not short. That's not MED, short for the Mediterranean Sea. That stands for median. Okay, so it tells you what the median of your sample is. Okay, so if you were not writing these with me, please take a moment now and pause the video and write down what all of these symbols mean. So that way, as you're looking at this calculator and doing your work later on, you don't get confused and you know you're looking at the right data. So I will pause for a moment if you need to pause the video and write these things down. All right, welcome back. So let's then go back to our second example from yesterday, which was the zoology professor. Okay, and let's check our work by doing this on our calculators to see if we have the proper mean and standard deviation from yesterday. All right, so as always, second function key, memory 712, and that clears everything you just put in there. So we'll go to our stat edit, and in list 1 we're going to simply put in there, if you grab your sheet from yesterday, example number 2, all of those different values for the tests of the professor students. So there's 69, 70, all right, so there's all of our values. Okay, so we'll do the same thing again. We'll go to stat, calc, one vars. Okay, so one variable statistics, enter, 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 enter. And look at that. We have a mean of 60.9, which hopefully that's what you found yesterday. The sum of all our x values is 609. All right, then you see the sum of all the x values squared. You see the population standard deviation. Then you see the actual deviation, which is 20.08, which some of you might have rounded to 20.1 from yesterday. And then if you hit the arrow key and go down, you see that the median for this data set is 64.5. So the median score for the professor's students was 64.5. Okay? So that is simply how you do this using the graphing calculator. I hope you find that a lot easier than doing all that math from yesterday, which it was necessary to do all that math yesterday. I know it was a little tedious probably for you, but you need to know where these things come from as you're doing them on your calculator. So now, for the rest of today, what you need to do is this last sheet here, which is finding standard deviation. So this is all calculator work, everybody. So you're simply going to input these data sets into the TI-84 calculator app on your Chromebook, or if you have a TI-84 at home, you can do that as well, and find the standard deviation and round your answers to the 100th. Okay, so we're just finding standard deviation. All right, so I will be on the Google Meet still. If you need my assistance, I will gladly give it. And if not, I hope you do well. Most of you did well with this yesterday. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for your perseverance. And hopefully within a few days, I will see you back in the classroom. So have a great day.